The wind howled through the empty streets of Ashwood, Ohio, carrying the sharp bite of an early November chill. Emily Harper stood frozen, not from the cold, but from the sight of the girl huddled against the brick wall of the old diner, her thin sweater no match for the frost creeping into the air. Something about her, those wide, defiant eyes, clawed at a memory Emily had buried deep, a memory of love lost to tragedy. Emily's breath caught as she clutched the navy blue coat in her arms, the one she'd meant to donate to the shelter. She'd been on her way there, her boots crunching through the fallen leaves, when she spotted the girl. 17, maybe 18, with tangled blonde hair and pale skin flushed red from the cold. The girl's gaze flicked up, wary but desperate, and Emily's heart twisted. She didn't know why, but she couldn't walk away. "Take this," Emily said, her voice soft but firm, stepping closer and holding out the coat. The girl flinched, her arms crossed tightly over her chest, as if shielding herself from more than just the wind. "It's okay. You need it more than I do." The girl Lily, as Emily would later learn, hesitated, her blue eyes searching Emily's face for a trap. Finally she reached out, fingers trembling, and took the coat. As their hands brushed, Emily felt a jolt, like a spark of recognition she couldn't place. "Thank you," Lily muttered, barely audible, pulling the coat around her shoulders. It was too big, swallowing her slight frame, but she clutched it like a lifeline. Emily nodded, forcing a smile. "What's your name?" she asked, though she wasn't sure why it mattered so much. Something about this girl felt familiar. "Lily," the girl said, her voice rough like she hadn't spoken in hours. "Just Lily." "I'm Emily." She paused, the wind tugging at her scarf. "You got somewhere to go tonight, Lily? It's gonna get colder." Lily's jaw tightened, her eyes dropping to the cracked pavement. "I'm fine," she said, but her voice wavered. Emily didn't push. She'd seen that look before, pride masking fear. Instead, she pointed to the diner behind them, its neon sign flickering weakly. "Come on," Emily said. "Let me buy you something warm to eat. No strings attached." Lily's gaze darted to the diner, then back to Emily. For a moment Emily thought she'd bolt. But then slowly Lily nodded. They stepped inside, the bell above the door jingling as warmth and the smell of coffee enveloped them. The diner was nearly empty, just a couple of truckers at the counter, and an old jukebox humming in the corner. They slid into a booth, the vinyl seats creaking under their weight. As Lily sipped her cocoa, her hands wrapped around the mug like it was her only anchor, Emily studied her. The way her shoulders hunched, the way her eyes darted to the door every few seconds, it reminded Emily of someone. Someone she'd loved fiercely, someone who'd been taken from her 10 years ago in a car accident that still haunted her dreams. "Sarah." The name burned in her chest, unbidden. "You from around here?" Emily asked, trying to keep her voice light. Lily shrugged, staring into her mug. "Sort of. Been moving around a lot." Emily nodded, sensing the walls Lily was putting up. She didn't press further, but her mind raced. Why did this girl feel like a piece of her past? Why did her heart ache just looking at her? She pushed the thoughts away, focusing on the present. This was just a kid who needed help. Nothing more. But as they sat there, the jukebox switched to an old song. A slow, aching melody Sarah used to hum. Emily's breath hitched, and she glanced at Lily, who was staring out the window, her expression unreadable. The moment felt heavy, like the universe was trying to tell her something. They talked sparingly over greasy fries and burgers. Lily was guarded, but every now and then, a spark of her personality slipped through. A dry quip, a fleeting smile. Emily found herself drawn to her, not just out of pity, but something deeper, something she couldn't name. When the meal ended, Emily slid a 20 across the table. "For whatever you need," she said. "And if you're ever in trouble, there's a shelter 2 blocks down. Ask for Maria. She's good people." Lily stared at the bill, then at Emily. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, her voice sharp with suspicion. "You don't even know me." Emily hesitated, her throat tight. "Because I know what it's like to feel alone," she said finally. "And no one should have to." Lily didn't respond, but her eyes softened just for a moment. As Emily left the diner, the cold air hitting her face, she couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't the last time she'd see Lily. And deep down, in a place she didn't dare touch, she felt Sarah's presence, like a whisper in the wind. The next morning, Emily woke with a heaviness she couldn't explain. She went through her routine coffee, emails, grading papers for her community college literature class, but her thoughts kept drifting to Lily. Those eyes. That guarded defiance. It was like looking at a ghost. She drove to the shelter, hoping to check on Lily, but Maria, the director, shook her head. No one named Lily came in last night, she said, her brow furrowing. You sure she was okay? Emily's stomach sank. I don't know, she admitted. I gave her a coat, bought her dinner. I thought she'd come here. Maria gave her a sympathetic look. Some kids don't trust shelters. Keep an eye out. She might turn up. Emily nodded, but worry gnawed at her. She spent the day distracted, her mind replaying the encounter. By evening she was back in town, walking the same streets, half hoping to spot that navy blue coat. Ashwood wasn't big. If Lily was still here, she couldn't be far. She found her near the park, sitting on a bench, the coat pulled tight around her. Relief flooded Emily, but it was short-lived. Lily looked worse, paler, her eyes red-rimmed like she hadn't slept. Hey, Emily said gently, sitting beside her. You okay? Lily didn't look at her. I'm fine, she said, but her voice was hollow. You don't look fine, Emily said, keeping her tone soft. What's going on, Lily? For a long moment Lily didn't answer. Then in a rush like a dam breaking she said, I don't have anywhere to go, okay? I thought I could handle it, but I can't. I don't know what I'm doing. Emily's heart ached. She wanted to reach out to pull this girl into her arms, but she held back. You don't have to do this alone, she said. Let me help you. Lily's eyes met hers, and for the first time, Emily saw something break in her expression. Fear, yes, but also trust, fragile and new. Why do you care? Lily whispered. Emily didn't have an answer, not one she could articulate. All she knew was that this girl, this stranger, felt like a piece of her heart she'd lost long ago. Come with me, she said. Just for tonight. I've got a spare room. You can figure out the rest tomorrow. Lily hesitated, then nodded. As they walked to Emily's car, the wind picked up, carrying the faint scent of rain. Emily glanced at Lily, the coat dwarfing her frame, and felt a pull she couldn't explain. A connection that went beyond chance, beyond reason. It was as if Sarah's shadow walked with them, silent but ever present. Emily's small house on the edge of Ashwood was a haven of quiet, its walls lined with books and faded photographs. As Lily stepped inside, clutching the oversized coat, her eyes darted around, taking in the cluttered warmth, the worn couch, the stack of poetry anthologies, the faint smell of lavender from a candle on the coffee table. Emily watched her, feeling a strange mix of protectiveness and unease, like she was letting a wild bird into her home. Make yourself comfortable, Emily said, gesturing to the couch. I'll get some blankets for the spare room. Lily nodded, her movements stiff, like she wasn't sure how to exist in this space. She sat on the edge of the couch, still wrapped in the coat, her fingers tracing the frayed hem. Emily busied herself in the kitchen, brewing tea to give Lily a moment to settle. But her mind was racing. Why had she brought this girl here? She wasn't a social worker, wasn't equipped to handle whatever Lily was running from. Yet something about her, those eyes, that quiet defiance, felt like a thread tied to her past. When she returned with 2 mugs of chamomile tea, Lily was staring at a framed photo on the mantel. It was an old one from a summer 10 years ago. Emily and Sarah laughing on a beach, their arms around each other, the sun glinting off the waves behind them. Emily's chest tightened. She hadn't looked at that photo in months, hadn't let herself linger on the memories it held. Who's that? Lily asked, her voice soft but curious. Emily set the mugs down, her hands unsteady. Someone I used to know, she said, the words heavy. Her name was Sarah. Lily's eyes lingered on the photo, something unreadable flickering across her face. She looks happy, she said, almost to herself. She was, Emily replied, her voice barely above a whisper. She cleared her throat, forcing a smile. You want something to eat? I've got leftovers, mac and cheese, nothing fancy. Lily shook her head. I'm okay. Just tired. Emily nodded, leading her to the spare room. A small space with a twin bed, a quilt her mother had made, and a window overlooking the backyard. Get some rest, she said. We'll talk in the morning. Lily hesitated in the doorway, her fingers still clutching the coat. "Thanks," she said, her voice small. "For everything." Emily smiled, but as she closed the door, her heart pounded. She couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just a random act of kindness. Something bigger was at play. Something tied to Sarah, to the life they'd lost. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, memories of Sarah flooding back. They'd met in college, two women drawn together by late-night talks and shared dreams. Sarah had been a firecracker, bold, unapologetic, with a laugh that could light up a room. They'd planned a life together, talked about adopting kids someday. But then the accident. A drunk driver, a rainy night, and Sarah was gone. Emily had spent years rebuilding herself, piece by piece, but the hole Sarah left never healed. Now, with Lily asleep down the hall, Emily felt that hole ache anew. It wasn't just Lily's eyes or the way she carried herself. It was something deeper, something that made Emily's skin prickle with unease and hope. The next morning, Emily found Lily in the kitchen, already dressed, the coat folded neatly on the counter. "I should go," Lily said, avoiding her gaze. "I don't want to be a burden." "You're not," Emily said quickly. "Stay. At least have breakfast." Lily hesitated, then nodded. Over pancakes, Emily tried to draw her out, asking gentle questions about where she'd been, what she was running from. Lily was cagey, but she let slip that she'd been in foster care most of her life, bouncing between homes. Her last foster family had kicked her out when she turned 17, and she'd been on her own since. "Where's your real family?" Emily asked, her voice soft. Lily's fork stilled. "Don't have one," she said flatly. "My mom died when I was little. Never knew my dad." Emily's heart sank. "I'm sorry," she said. "What was your mom's name?" Lily's eyes flicked up, guarded. "Why do you want to know?" Emily shrugged, trying to keep her tone casual. "Just curious." Lily hesitated, then said, "Her name was Sarah." The room seemed to tilt. Emily gripped the edge of the table, her pulse roaring in her ears. "Sarah?" she repeated, her voice barely audible. "Yeah," Lily said, frowning. "Why?" Emily's mind raced. It couldn't be. Sarah had never mentioned a child. They'd been together for years, shared everything. But the timing, Lily was 17. Sarah had died 10 years ago. The math didn't add up, but the possibility clawed at Emily's chest. "Do you have a picture of her?" she asked, her voice shaking. Lily shook her head. "No. I was too young when she died. Foster care took everything." Emily nodded, trying to steady herself. It was a coincidence. It had to be. Sarah was a common name. But as she looked at Lily, at those eyes that felt so familiar, doubt crept in. She needed answers, but she didn't know how to ask without scaring Lily away. Over the next few days, Lily stayed. Emily didn't push her to leave, and Lily didn't offer. They fell into a fragile rhythm. Breakfast together, quiet evenings watching old movies, Lily slowly opening up. She was smart, with a sharp wit that reminded Emily of Sarah's. But there were moments when Lily laughed or tilted her head a certain way that made Emily's heart stop. It was like Sarah was in the room, her ghost lingering in every gesture. One evening, as they sat on the couch, Lily spoke up. "Why are you so nice to me?" she asked, her voice laced with suspicion. "Most people don't care about someone like me." Emily hesitated, her throat tight. "Because you remind me of someone," she said finally. "Someone I loved." Lily's eyes widened, but she didn't ask more. Instead, she leaned back, pulling the navy blue coat over her lap like a blanket. Emily watched her, her mind a storm of questions. She needed to know the truth, but she was terrified of what it might mean. Emily couldn't let it go. The name Sarah, Lily's eyes, the way her laugh echoed in Emily's memories. It was too much to dismiss. She started digging quietly, careful not to alarm Lily. She called Maria at the shelter, asking if she could check records for a girl named Lily, possibly connected to a woman named Sarah who died around 2008. Maria promised to look, but her tone was skeptical. "That's a long shot, Em," she said. "You sure you're not seeing what you want to see?" Emily wasn't sure, but she couldn't stop. At night, when Lily was asleep, she scoured old boxes in her attic, pulling out letters, photos, anything from her time with Sarah. She found a journal Sarah had kept, one Emily had never read. It felt too painful after her death. Now she sat cross-legged on the attic floor, the pages trembling in her hands. Most entries were mundane grocery lists, musings about books, plans for their future. But one, dated a year before Emily met Sarah, stopped her cold. "I made a mistake," Sarah had written. "I was young, scared. I gave her up. My little girl. I'll never forgive myself, but I hope she's safe, loved." Emily's breath caught. Sarah had a child? Why hadn't she told her? The journal didn't say more, but it was enough to fuel Emily's obsession. She watched Lily closely, searching for clues. Lily was settling in, her wariness fading. She helped with dishes, read Emily's old novels, even laughed more freely. But she was still guarded about her past, deflecting questions with a shrug or a change of subject. Emily didn't push. She didn't want to lose the fragile trust they'd built. But the questions burned. One afternoon, while Lily was out walking the neighborhood, Emily called an old friend, Claire, who'd worked in social services. "I need a favor," Emily said, her voice low. "Can you look into someone for me? A girl named Lily, about 17, maybe in foster care in Ohio. Her mother was named Sarah. Died around 2008. Claire hesitated. "That's not exactly legal, Em. I could get in trouble." "I know," Emily said, her voice breaking. "But it's important. Please." Claire sighed. "I'll see what I can do. But don't get your hopes up." Days passed, tense and quiet. Lily seemed to sense Emily's preoccupation, her eyes narrowing when Emily stared too long. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Lily spoke up. "You're acting weird," she said bluntly. "What's going on?" Emily's heart raced. She wanted to tell her everything, the suspicions, the journal, the ache in her chest, but she couldn't. "Not yet. I'm just worried about you," she said, forcing a smile. "I want to make sure you're okay." Lily's expression softened, but her eyes were still wary. "I'm not used to people caring," she said. "It's weird." Emily reached out, squeezing her hand. "Get used to it," she said, her voice thick. Lily didn't pull away, and for a moment they sat in silence, the connection between them growing stronger, more real. Claire called a week later. "I found something," she said, her voice tense. "There's a Lily Grayson, born 2008, placed in foster care after her mother, Sarah Grayson, died in a car accident. No father listed. The records are spotty, but it could be her." Emily's world tilted. Sarah Grayson. Her Sarah. The accident that took her life, the one Emily had mourned for a decade, had left behind a daughter. Lily. Her hands shook as she thanked Claire and hung up. She sat on the couch, staring at the photo of Sarah on the mantel, her mind reeling. Lily was Sarah's daughter. The girl she'd taken in, the girl who felt like a piece of her past, was tied to her in a way she'd never imagined. When Lily came home, Emily was waiting. She didn't know how to start, how to tell her. But Lily beat her to it. "I found something," Lily said, her voice trembling. She held out a small, worn notebook, one Emily recognized instantly, Sarah's journal. "It was in the coat pocket," Lily said. "The one you gave me. I didn't mean to snoop, but it's my mom's, isn't it?" Emily's breath caught. She nodded, unable to speak. Lily's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't know her," she said. "I was so little when she died. But reading this, it's like I can hear her voice." Emily reached for her, pulling her into a hug. Lily stiffened, then melted into it, her shoulders shaking. "I'm sorry," Emily whispered. "I didn't know either. But I loved her. So much." They sat together, the journal between them, pages of Sarah's words binding them. Emily told Lily about Sarah, her laugh, her dreams, the way she'd loved fiercely. Lily listened, soaking it in, her eyes bright with tears and wonder. For the first time, Emily felt like she wasn't just mourning Sarah. She was carrying her forward through Lily. But the truth brought new questions. Why had Sarah never told her about Lily? What had happened in those early years? And what did this mean for Emily and Lily now? As they talked late into the night, Emily felt a shift, a purpose forming. She'd lost Sarah, but maybe, just maybe, she'd been given a chance to love again in a different way. The revelation changed everything. Emily and Lily sat up until dawn, the journal open between them, piecing together fragments of Sarah's life. Lily clung to every word. hungry for a mother she'd barely known. Emily shared stories of Sarah's quirks, her obsession with blueberry pancakes, her habit of singing off-key in the shower, and Lily laughed through her tears, seeing herself in those details. But the question of why Sarah had given Lily up lingered, heavy and unanswered. Emily couldn't stop thinking about it. Sarah had been so open, so honest, or so Emily thought. The journal hinted at a painful decision, made when Sarah was barely 20, scared and alone. Emily wanted to understand, but the answers were buried with Sarah. All she had was Lily, and the fragile bond growing between them. Over the next week, they fell into a new rhythm. Lily stayed, not just as a guest but as something more. A daughter, a friend, a piece of Sarah Emily hadn't known she'd been missing. Emily helped Lily enroll in a local GED program, bought her clothes that actually fit, and watched her slowly come alive. Lily's sharp edges softened, her laughter more frequent, her trust in Emily growing stronger. But the past wasn't done with them. One afternoon, Emily got a call from Maria at the shelter. "Someone's looking for Lily," Maria said, her voice low. "A man. Says he's her father." Emily's heart stopped. "Her father," she repeated. Lily said she never knew her dad. "Yeah, well, he's got paperwork," Maria said. "Says his name's Michael Grayson. Claims he's been searching for her since Sarah died." Emily's mind raced. Grayson, Sarah's last name. Could it be true? She thanked Maria and hung up, her hands shaking. When Lily got home, Emily sat her down, choosing her words carefully. "Someone's looking for you," she said. "A man who says he's your father." Lily's face went pale. "My father," she whispered. I don't have a father." Emily took her hand. "I don't know if it's true," she said. "But he's coming to the shelter tomorrow. You don't have to meet him if you don't want to. I'll be there with you whatever you decide." Lily nodded, but her eyes were distant, haunted. That night she barely spoke, retreating to her room with Sarah's journal. Emily didn't sleep, her mind torn between protecting Lily and the fear of losing her. She'd grown to love this girl, not just as Sarah's daughter but as her own. The thought of someone taking her away felt like losing Sarah all over again. The next day they went to the shelter. Michael Grayson was waiting, a man in his late 30s with tired eyes and a nervous smile. He held a folder of documents, his hands fidgeting. "Lily," he said, his voice breaking. "I've been looking for you for so long." Lily stood frozen, her hand gripping Emily's. "I don't know you," she said, her voice sharp. "Why should I believe you?" Michael's face fell, but he nodded. "I get it," he said. "I wasn't there. I messed up. But I loved your mom. We were young, stupid. She got pregnant and I wasn't ready. She gave you up to protect you, but I never stopped regretting it." Emily watched Lily's face, saw the storm of emotions, anger, fear, longing. She wanted to shield her, to tell Michael to leave, but this wasn't her choice. "What do you want?" Lily asked, her voice trembling. "I want to know you," Michael said. "I want a chance to be your dad." Lily didn't answer. She turned to Emily, her eyes pleading. Emily squeezed her hand. "You don't have to decide now," she said softly. "Take your time." They left the shelter, Lily silent in the car. When they got home she went to her room, shutting the door. Emily stood outside, her heart heavy. She wanted to fix this, to make it right, but she didn't know how. All she could do was be there, steady and constant, as Lily navigated the pieces of her broken past. That evening Lily emerged, her eyes red. "I don't know what to do," she admitted, sitting on the couch. "Part of me wants to know him, but I'm scared. What if he leaves again?" Emily sat beside her, choosing her words carefully. "You don't have to trust him right away," she said. "But you deserve to know your story. And whatever happens, I'm here. You're not alone." Lily leaned into her, her head resting on Emily's shoulder. "You're more family to me than he'll ever be," she whispered. Emily's throat tightened. She wrapped an arm around Lily, holding her close. In that moment, she felt Sarah's presence, warm and steady, like a promise kept. But the future was uncertain, and Emily knew the hardest part was yet to come. Weeks passed, and Lily wrestled with her decision. She met Michael again, this time at a coffee shop, with Emily sitting nearby for support. He was earnest, telling stories of his youth with Sarah, of the mistakes he'd made, of his years searching for Lily after learning of Sarah's death. Lily listened, her face a mask of caution, but Emily saw the cracks. Moments when Lily's eyes softened, when she leaned forward hungry for connection. Emily struggled too. She wanted to protect Lily, to keep her safe from hurt, but she also saw the longing in her eyes. Lily deserved a chance to know her father, even if it meant Emily's role in her life might change. The thought terrified her, but she pushed it down, focusing on Lily's needs. One evening as snow dusted Ashwood streets, Lily made her choice. "I want to give him a chance," she said, sitting at Emily's kitchen table. "But I want to stay here. With you. Is that okay?" Emily's heart swelled. "Of course it's okay," she said, her voice thick. "This is your home." Lily smiled, a real smile, one that reached her eyes. "You're my home," she said, and Emily felt tears prick her own eyes. They worked out an arrangement with Michael. He'd visit, take things slow, rebuild trust. Emily watched Lily grow stronger, more sure of herself, as she navigated this new relationship. There were hard days, arguments, doubts, old wounds resurfacing, but Lily faced them with a resilience that made Emily proud. One night, as they decorated a small Christmas tree in the living room, Lily paused, holding a star ornament. "You know," she said, "I think Mom would have loved you for this, for taking me in." Emily's breath caught. She set down the string of lights, her hands trembling. "I think she led me to you," she said softly. "That coat, it was hers. I didn't know why I held on to it all these years. Now I do." Lily's eyes widened. "This was hers?" she asked, touching the navy blue coat now draped over a chair. Emily nodded. "She wore it everywhere. It's like she wanted us to find each other." Lily stepped forward, wrapping her arms around Emily. They stood there, the tree lights casting a warm glow, and Emily felt a peace she hadn't known in years. Sarah was gone, but her love lived on in Lily, in this home, in the life they were building. Months later, Lily graduated from her GED program, Michael and Emily cheering from the front row. She enrolled in community college, majoring in art, her sketches filling the house with color. Emily found herself teaching again with renewed passion, inspired by Lily's courage. They weren't a traditional family, but they were family, bound by love, loss, and a coat that had carried Sarah's heart to them both. As spring bloomed, Emily and Lily walked to the park, the navy blue coat folded in Lily's bag, a keepsake now. They sat on a bench, the same one where Emily had found Lily months ago. "You changed my life," Lily said, her voice steady. "I was so lost. Now I'm found." Emily smiled, her heart full. "You changed mine too," she said. "You gave me back a piece of her. And a piece of myself." They sat in silence, the breeze carrying the scent of new blossoms. Above them the sky was clear, and Emily felt Sarah's presence, not as a ghost, but as a warmth, a love that had guided them to this moment. They were healing together, and that was enough.